Good morning, everybody. Craig DeLeo here, and this morning's video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to talk about a piece of legislation and an idea I've been having regarding firearms and our gun rights in this country. And this is an issue that I believe in personally, and this is something that I believe that we need to come up with a solution for, but yet it's one of those things that I'm trying to see both sides of the argument. So here's my go. Now, I believe we have a mental health crisis in this country, and I think that we need to do something to control, our flow of firearms. But yet, I do also believe in the Second Amendment and that whole, as a lot of my more will say, and I'm going to use the word liberal, but yet not liberal, or my more gun liberal people, the whole "shall not be infringed" argument that I hear. Now, when I say this, know that I say that our current, NFA or National Firearms Act, because that's actually what it is, everything to do with our gun control and how we go about, how we buy and do everything is actually entangled in the National Firearms Act and the GCA, the Gun Control Act. Now, those will not be touched at all. Okay, what this is a supplement to the rules. So this is a whole new process that we're going to add into the existing system. And when it comes to states, this is going to be unpopular with some of our states. But that's fine, because this is a way to open up our gun rights, but yet control our guns. So I'm going to say that. And I suggest everyone actually take a moment and think about how this is going to change our fundamental way we are going to control and track. I don't want to use track because this is a thing. It's not going to track things necessarily, but it is going to allow us to hold people responsible. And this is my game, is I believe in you having the right to own and have whatever you want as long as you're showing you're being responsible for them. Now, I basically suggesting what we call and I'm going to call it, they'll end up calling it whatever they want, but it's basically a PFFL. Now, for those of you that don't know this, you can get what's called a federal firearms license, an FFL. Now, this is what gun stores and everybody else owns. Underneath the law and underneath the rules, you cannot have a FFL for what's called personal use. You have to engage in commerce and for profit if you want to have an FFL. The first change, the first fundamental change, is I want to create a new license that's called a PFFL for personal use. This is specifically designed and intended for personal use, okay? And that's the main thing, is this is intended for personal use. And it's going to be very much like a federal firearms license, just like what a gun shop has. It's going to have many of the same controls. And with that comes some of the responsibilities associated with that. You're going to have to maintain, you're going to have an FFL number that we're going to know that this number, just like your social security number, is you. When you go to a gun shop or you go to a manufacturer and say, I want this firearm, you're going to be able to buy directly from whoever you want to buy from. You're going to give them this PFFL number and say, hey, this is my PFFL number. I've been properly screened by all the appropriate authorities, and say, here's my number, okay? So it's going to open up that buying process for people, okay? So when you go to buy a firearm, you're like, here's my PFFL, just like I do in Georgia, because I have a Georgia carry conceal license. I don't need to go through the normal background process because I have gone through an extra layer of protection here in the state of Georgia, showing that I'm a little more protected. I don't have all these illegal things, I don't have a background in domestic violence. I don't have a background with criminal activity, so I can completely buy and go. Now, with that, and here's the stuff that the gun owners aren't going to like, and I'm going to say that again, I hate calling you guys liberal because I don't disagree with a lot of some of the things you say. I believe it's responsible. Here's the catch. Now, in order to get this PFFL, okay, there is going to be an optional CLEO endorsement. CLEO, Chief Law Enforcement Officer, okay? It's optional. And I specifically say that so that in areas where law enforcement is not conducive to gun rights, it's optional. But it allows you to go to that Clio and say, here, I'm going to go request this PFFL. If you want to do a background check on me, great. It's optional. It's going to look better when you do it, when we push it to the federal level, but they can do background checks and they can know that you have lots of toys, so that if there's a break-in your home, or they can provide extra support in those areas because you're going to be a chance for possibly crime. Okay, that's what that is. That's reasonably for that. But you're also going to have to do a class. And when I say class, I mean just simply like, and again, I'm going to use a military term, NKO, AKO, Marine Corps Online. It's literally going to be a clickety done more PowerPoint, but the point of this PowerPoint is to show you how to do your logbooks. And there's another thing. Anything you purchase with your PFFL, and you provided that serial, that FFL number, that PFFL number, you're going to have to say, oh look, here's my logbook saying this is where this firearm is, this is where I've got it, and this is where I disposed of it. So if I sold it to a gun shop, I sold it to another PFFL, what did I do with that firearm? Okay, so that if, for some instance, you get charged with domestic violence, and that comes in discussion, or a judge orders you to dispose of all your firearms, guess what? Here's my list of my firearms. Here's how I dispose of them. Another thing that I say is, and again, this is up for discussion, I would say that we can set the license for every 4 years or every so many years, but we're going to require a simple annual, I would say at least annual, 6 months to an annual. I think annual is a good idea, but simply a mental health check saying, hey, yep, I went to a psychologist, I had a conversation with a psychologist, and that would be, oh look, yep, they have their problems, but again, they're a healthy human being, they have, and again, this is the game, is the fact of, now, and you're gonna get that psychological examination done before you get approved for your license. That's all gonna be sent in. You're gonna do fingerprints, all the stuff that you do with a normal FFL, those that are familiar with the FFL process. And that way we can do a background check for you. And that way, if for some reason you're accused of a crime or there's reasonable suspicion, you can show up and you say, hey, let me see your PFFL list. Oh, here's my list. Where are all these firearms? Oh, here it is. It's not going to be tracked in some magical, national database, but it is tracked locally. Every time you buy something, they say, oh, it's been disposed of to this location. Now, this is going to open up suppressors and SBRs right away to those people. Oh, you want an SBR? Not a problem. You want a suppressor? Please go right ahead, because I believe in suppressors. It's great for the ears. Now, things like fully automatics, that's going to be a slightly different game. I think that with that, you're going to have to do with a handling course. I learned fully automatics from the United States Marine Corps. I went to the machine gunners course. It's an interesting course. I literally learned how to handle machine guns and fully automatic weapons from the United States Marine Corps. We open up things like these courses and these fully automatic handling courses to the civilian population, and you have to get that handling endorsement from a certified trainer, so that then you can get that endorsement, you can get fully automatic sears, and you can actually have fully automatic sears in your firearms. Because again, I believe in this, but here's a caveat. You have to show that you're properly handling them, you're properly bringing them in, you're properly disposing of them, okay? The same rules that apply to an FFL will apply to you. And if you sell things illegally, you give things to people who aren't supposed to have them, all these games, we're going to hold you accountable at the federal level. We're going to, I hate to say it this way, we're going to rake you across the coals. You're going to have to make sure you maintain these proper endorsements. Oh, yeah. And this is the point, is I've got no problem with you having these things. I just want to make sure that you're showing to me that you're healthy, you're responsible, because I've been around this country. Some parts of the country have these wonderful gun cultures where we have these, and this is what the other thing, one of my friends who now lives in Florida, he said to me, we were talking about specifically the constitutional concealed carry laws. And he said to me that he didn't have a problem with constitutional concealed carries in places like Colorado and Georgia, but he felt that it may not necessarily be a good idea in Florida. And I asked, why? Please elaborate on that. Why do you think that? Because my answer was, it's constitutional concealed carry. It's something I believe in. But he made the point of the fact of it's the gun culture. Florida doesn't have the same gun culture that states like Georgia, Texas, Colorado, Montana, some of these other states have the culture of Alaska. I'm sorry, Alaskans. Oh my God. Woohoo! Go guys. I'm sorry. I've heard nothing but good stories about you guys from my friends up in Alaska about your gun culture. I love you guys. Yeah. Go Alaska. But again, this is the answer, is the fact that they have a very strong, very responsible gun control culture. So again, you see the answer here is I'm all about opening things up for you guys and allowing you guys, you want to have suppressors, you want to have a machine gun, which, sorry, nothing but expensive to me. All I hear is ching, 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 ching every time I pull the trigger. I'm sorry, those things are expensive. But this allows you to open up these things, but yet when you do wrong, when you screw up, congratulations, I'm gonna rake you across the coals. I want DOJ to rake you across the coals. And the answer to this is, this also gets rid of some of the arguments in states like California, New York, I can't remember all the states that have magazine bans, where guess what? It's now a federal regulation. And our answer to those states is, I don't care if you say magazine capacity is accessory, I don't care. They have a federal firearms license. Congratulations. We don't care. They're following the federal rules. We're bypassing your state rules. Congratulations. And this allows for these discussions to be bypassed because now it's a federal regulation. Now, but again, remember the other side. You do something bad, we're going to rake you across the coals. Again, we make a minimal fee. Say we keep the fee at an administrative level because you're going to have to pay for that machine gunner's course. You're going to have to pay for that psychological exam every year to 6 months. You're going to have to pay for, these background checks, things like that. But it's an added expense, but this allows you to open up these things, but yet we still keep the normal, what we do now, that's very relatively cheap. So now we don't we're interfering with your gun rights. So it's an extra new pathway to gun ownership. It's showing people that, I'm keeping up. It does also get rid of that, I lost all my guns in a boating accident discussion as well, because I lost all my guns, all my FFL guns in a boating accident. Oops. Nope, sorry, dude. You didn't dispose of them properly. We're going to hold you responsible for that. You see how this game works. It shows more responsibility. We're going to give you, with more responsibility comes more freedom. But again, we're going to hold you accountable, but yet we're going to give you, you see how this game works. And this is exactly my fundamentals. Individual rights, individual responsibilities. So the more you have, the more I'm going to hold you responsible. I think this is a great way, and as I said to my friend yesterday, why the heck I came up with this? I'm a smart man. I'm not that smart man of a man. His answer was, well, you're weird. You think of these things way out in the fringe. You let your brain wander into realms that the average person doesn't do, Greg. So congratulations, you're weird. It's not the fact you're not smart, you're just weird. So whatever, I'll take it. But again, please, let's discuss, if you want to call me a crazy gun owner or a dirty liberal, fine. But I think this is a great way to appease both sides, but with being responsible and yet allow us to have more freedom. And again, this is the game. I want to balance things because I want us to be able to have guns. I want us to have fun with our firearms. Again, it's like golfing. Again, my brother-in-law is going to yell at me. It's like golf, but for men, But I also believe the fact that we're in a mental health crisis and not every idiot needs to have access to firearms because they are dangerous. But again, we also, if you want to do harm to someone, you're going to find something. You're going to pick up a knife. You're going to pick up a Molotov cocktail. Again, I can do harm with lots of things if I really want to. So let's have this discussion. Let's open up these things. And with many things, let's let people do what they want as long as they're not doing harm to other people. So again, I love all y'all. I love all my shipmates, and have a super day. And from my Pride video yesterday, let's live free. So Have a fabulous day.